Talonflame is back, baby. It is back, and it is going straight to the S tier. Welcome in, everyone, to my Season 13 of the Go Battle League and Pokemon Go season, I guess, tier list. And so we're going to review the different changes that they have implemented for the various Pokemon and the various movesets. I am going to cover all the actual changes regarding the Pokemon that have direct buffs and nerfs. But then afterward, I'm also going to cover some of the implications that it has on the greater meta and things that are typically meta relevant. To kick things off, some attack changes. Mud Slap, the fast attack Mud Slap. Energy generation will be increased. They didn't specify how much. My guess is probably 1 extra energy per Mud Slap, maybe 2. 2 is probably generous. 3 is very unlikely. Fire Spin is increasing in 1 damage. Incinerate is going up from 15 damage to 20 damage. That's a lot. 5 extra damage per Incinerate is a lot. Blaze Kick goes from 55 damage to 60. Breaking Swipe. Chance to lower the opposing Pokemon's attack is no longer guaranteed. We don't know what the percentage is on this one. It could be something like, let's say, like Zap Cannon, right? When they nerf Zap Cannon from 100% to 66% or 2/3 of a chance. It could be like 50%, like Octazooka, maybe. Could be something even lower than that. I probably would guess nothing lower than 50. I mean, 30-something%, a third or whatever, would be quite the nerf for sure on Breaking Swipe, because it's not the hardest hitting move, right? Iron Tail goes from 9 to 10 damage, and the energy generation is also increased. We don't know what the numbers are on the energy increase, of course, but similar to Mud Slap, I would expect maybe a 1 energy increase, maybe 2 for being generous. My guess is probably not 2 because they're already increasing the power on it, so they're not going to buff it by too much like that. Steel Wing energy generation is increased. Again, maybe 1, maybe 2 if we're lucky. Astonish, going from 5 damage to 9 damage per Astonish. So that's going to be a harder hitting fast attack, but energy generation is still not really there. And yeah, I mean, I'll give you my take on that later. Bubble will be going from 7 damage to 8 damage per Bubble. I believe this is a rebuff. I think it used to be 8 damage and then they nerfed it. Mainly to kind of target Azumarill because it's just very strong, but they're buffing it back up. Scald is going from 80 to 85 damage. So 5 extra damage per Scald. And then on top of that, a greater chance to lower the opposing Pokemon's attack by 1 stage. So that's pretty big. For context, I believe Scald right now is a 30% chance. And right now on PvPoke, it actually says 40% chance for the new version. I don't know if that's accurate data or not, so don't quote me on that. But that is what PvPoke says right now. My guess, I thought it was going to be like maybe a 50% chance, but 40% chance is also still a solid improvement. Psychic is being nerfed. It's going from 85 damage to 75. So again, another nerf to Psychic, doing even less damage than it originally did. So to kick things off, we got Wigglytuff. Will now be able to learn the charge attack Icy Wind. That's pretty big. It already has Ice Beam, right? It got Disarming Voice, which also gave it a lower energy charge attack so that it could get to moves much faster, because Charm is just very slow energy generation. But with Icy Wind, that is going to be huge. Constantly debuffing your opponents and just charming down 2 shield charm Wigglytuff is pretty nuts. So let me give you a context of what it's looking like. So with Ice Beam Disarming Voice, you win 14 in Great League and you lose against 27 against the meta. With Icy Wind in the 1 shields, you win 19 and you lose 23. Now, of course, maybe not the scariest thing, right? Scariest change. But let's go with Ice Beam and let's go 2 shield scenario, right? If you go 2 shields against the meta, you win 24 and you lose 17. And with Icy Wind, you win 33 and you only lose 9. That's a massive swing in terms of how much you win, right? Like the things you lose to, you barely lose to Alolan Sandslash. You lose to Carping, of course, but I mean, that's so bulky. You lose to Shadow Charizard, but barely. Registeel, Bastion, Venusaur, Shadow Vichy Belt, right? Things that you should obviously lose to Galarian Stunfisk and Clodsire. But then you just beat everything else into 2 shields, which is kind of bonkers. Yeah, Wigglytuff's going to be a huge problem. If you don't think so, you're going to find out very soon. So, anyway, I'm going to move Wigglytuff all the way up to S tier to kick things off, because that thing is going to be a menace. And it might not be fun to face. I'm just saying. It will be fun to play. I don't know. Maybe if you like that kind of strategy, it could be good. It's definitely going to be strong. It's going to be super strong, yeah. And, I mean, let's think about Wigglytuff's typing, right? It breaks up the Medicham Lickitung core. It resists Ghosts, double resist Ghosts, so Sableye has no play, right? You beat Umbreon. Like, you beat a lot of the really relevant meta Pokemon right now. And because most people are really only using Alolan Sandslash as Steel type, especially in the official tournament format, there's just not really a lot of Steels that wall it off. So we'll talk more about how this impacts Steel usage in general, too. Poliwrath will now be able to learn the charge attack Icy Wind. This is going to be an interesting one. I think Poliwrath definitely has some play. It's already kind of bulky, and Ultra League is definitely really solid too, ever since it got counter on top of that. So I personally think Icy Wind is a pretty solid addition. I'll put it in the A tier. I think it's going to be really solid, especially in Ultra League. Is it going to be the best fighter in Great League? Hard to say. I think it maybe not, especially given how prevalent Lantern is. But I do think it's still really solid, especially for Ultra League, and I think it'll definitely have a lot of play in some open formats in Great League, but also especially in limited formats. Abomasnow also gets Icy Wind, and this is kind of an interesting one. I would put it at B for now, mainly because Weather Ball is just faster to get to anyway, so the Icy Wind is a nice like debuff and everything, but we'll talk about more later. Fire did get a slight buff, or a significant buff, depending on how you want to view it, and when you are double weak to Fire, that's just not a good time for Abomasnow. So that being said, that is yeah, so I'll put it at B. I think it has some play, but it's not the best grass type in my opinion. It does beat the other grass types, but the weakness it has is just not best. Avalugg and Hisuian Avalugg will now be able to learn Icy Wind on top of that. And I think Avalugg in general, like, yeah, it's kind of cool, but I don't really think it's that great, to be honest. I think it has some utility, but like there just are better picks in my opinion. So me personally, I'll probably put this in the D tier for now. Maybe like top of D tier, but I just don't think it's that usable. Like you could definitely win some stuff here or there, but they're just better options. Hisuian Avalugg is kind of an interesting one. I might put this in B tier. Because it has Powder Snow, and the typing is kind of interesting. You are only taking neutral from fire damage, so it's not too bad. But Hisuian Avalugg has some interesting movesets, right? So it has Powder Snow, it has Rock Slide, it has Crunch, and it has Blizzard. So Icy Wind, you probably run Icy Wind with either Rock Slide or Crunch, depending on where you're running it. You're probably going to run it in Premier. So you probably don't really need the Rock Slide. You probably just run a Crunch. And I can see it being kind of a nuisance in Master League for sure. Other leagues, maybe not so much, but I think it could be a solid pick. But maybe even better than I expect. I don't think it'll be lower than a B tier. Maybe like top of C, but potentially could be even higher than that. Frigibax and Arctibax get Icy Wind as a charge attack. I'm not really sure what Frigibax will really use for. Maybe some Little Cup shenanigans, but like there's a lot of Little Cups that Frigibax is not even relevant or usable in. So I'll just put this in the unsure category for now. Arctibax is a cool one though. Arctibax already is picking up a lot in popularity, especially in the championship series. I mean, we had Tauntaun Battus, the second place finisher of Gdansk this past weekend, run Arctibax, which is Avalanche Dragon Claw. And now it has Icy Wind, so it has a chance for a debuffing move too. I think Arctibax is already really strong with just Avalanche. And, you know, you're saying, oh, in a Medicham meta, which we might not be in right now, but in a Medicham meta, like, how could you use it? But you use Alolan Sandslash in the Medicham meta, and it's still strong. So, I think Arctibax has a lot of play. Walls off the grass, walls off Lantern, and a lot of the waters. And just really good coverage. And now with Icy Wind, pretty solid. I think you can still opt for the Avalanche instead of the Icy Wind, just because it's just a better damaging move, but it's yeah, it could be good. Oh man, they did Dedenne dirty for sure. So Dedenne got Parabolic Charge, which if you're not familiar with how good Parabolic Charge is, let me break it down for you. Out of all the electric moves, right, We'll talk about damage per energy. What's the best electric moves there are? Wild Charge, top of the list, right? 100 damage for 45 energy. You know, and you got Techno Blast, Shock, second, Fusion Bolt, Zap Cannon, right? Number 4, but also debuffs. We got Parabolic Charge all the way up. 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. 10th on the list of charge attacks for electric type. And I'm not saying 10 out of like 20, 10 out of 100. This is 10 out of 10. It is the worst electric attack there is. There's no status change, right? Compared to Techno Blast Shock, the second best attack, right? It's 55 energy. Techno Blast Shock, 120 damage. Parabolic Change, 55 energy, same exact energy, 65 damage. It is a 1.18 damage energy per energy efficiency. Absolutely awful. Now, I don't think Trident itself is like completely hot garbage, but I will say it's pretty irrelevant right now in most metas. I mean, even in Electric Cup, like no one's really even using it, right? And it's like pure electric types. It's just way too. Yeah, there's just way better Pokemon, and you know, Parabolic Charge just did not help it in any way, shape, or form. All it did is allow you to spend more TMs on something if you really want to TM it, but yeah, so there's that. Alolan Raichu will now be able to learn the charge attack Trailblaze. Cancer Raichu as well can also learn Trailblaze. I actually think it's a really good change for Alolan Raichu. Alolan Raichu already had Grass Knot, if I'm not mistaken, but it has Volt Switch, and Volt Switch already does a decent amount of damage. I think a ramped up Volt Switch can really add up in power. I think Trailblaze, like Ampharos got Trailblaze, and although it didn't have a lot of play in open metas, it had a lot of play in Electric Cup because of the ramped up attack and the coverage from Trailblaze. So you don't really change the coverage of Alolan Raichu too much because you could have always ran Grass Knot instead. But having the Trailblaze is kind of nice. I'll put a C. I mean, it's still not super meta relevant, but it's okay, right? Like, it has some play in some niche cups, but in open tiers, maybe nothing crazy. Kanto Raichu, I don't know. That one's, the typing itself, pure electric, is just not that great. Yeah, it's getting pretty much the same coverage now as Alolan Raichu, but I'd say it's pretty irrelevant. We keep the electric mouses together on this one. There's a bunch of random ones, right? Alolan Meowth and Alolan Persian both getting Trailblaze. Yeah, I don't know about this one. I don't really know what Alolan Meowth will really do. Maybe in some Little Cup, but it's just pretty bad, I think, still. And then Persian, listen, don't even waste your time on it. Save your TMs. Ariados also learns Charge Attack Trailblaze. Ariados is kind of like a weird spice pick. I mean, it could have some play from time to time in limited metas, but I don't know if Trailblaze actually helps it do anything. So, that being said, I'll put it in like C tier, like towards the end of C tier. Cacnea and Cacturn learn Trailblaze. Again, Cacnea, maybe one of those weird like Little Cup things that I don't really know too much about. Like, maybe it's relevant there, but I don't really think it will be. Yeah, I don't think so. I mean, it's a, like, alright, let's put it this way. If we look at Cacnea right now, what moves does it learn? Does it already learn Grass move? It learns Seed Bomb, it learns Grass Knot. So you already have 2 grass attacks on Cacnea. You don't really need a third one. I don't think it's really going to help it too much when your fast attacks is Poison Thing and Sucker Punch. Both are pretty bad. So, honestly speaking, it's pretty hot garbage. I think it's probably better than Persian, maybe. I don't know, but that's pretty bad. Cacturn. It's also hot garbage. Maybe a little bit better than other stuff, but Cacturn doesn't really seem relevant for much either. A few other Trailblaze learners. Oranguru learns Trailblaze. Could be interesting. I don't know. Oranguru is kind of a weird Pokemon. It has like some potential here or there, but I feel like against a lot of open meta, it's not great. In some limited metas, it could be good like Retro Cup and other things like that. I don't know if Trailblaze helps it too much. Maybe gives us some additional coverage, but it's nice, right? And a lot of the water types and Mud Boys still have to watch out for it. So, that being said, I'll put it in like that C tier. Like, this might be some niche place. Nimble gets Trailblaze. That seems pretty irrelevant. I don't know. Maybe we'll put it unsure for now. Maybe some Little Cup can have something there. Smoliv also learns to Charge Attack Trailblaze. These are just like, I think there's always like some random updates where like it just doesn't want to do too much. It currently learns Rage Leaf, Energy Ball, Sea Bomb, Earth Power. You don't really need another grass attack for Small Live. That being said, I don't know if it's like terrible. I just don't think it's really relevant for much. Yeah, let's put it at irrelevant. Dolliv and Arboliva also learn Trailblaze. They both seem kind of irrelevant, to be honest. So we'll just follow it after the Small Live family. Nothing too relevant there. Alone Sandslash can learn the charge attack Aerial Ace. Gets a little bit coverage against the fighters, I guess. But the Ice Punch and the Drill Run combo has such good coverage. And they're just pretty solid moves for Alone Sandslash to use. Aerial Ace is not like the best move, especially non-stab. And you just don't really want to give up the coverage of ice or ground, in my opinion. There's only a few things that wall off, mostly Bug Water. And those are kind of few outside Golisopod and Araquanid. But that being said, I think Alone Sandslash is still really strong. I think it was probably close to that S tier pick this season. But with buffs to fire types, and we'll talk more about that. And a few water types here or there. I actually think that it's kind of dropping in tier for sure. I'll probably put it in A. I'll put it behind Arctivax. Yeah, I'll put it behind Arctivax. But I think it still could be really, really strong. Definitely above Poliwrath for sure. But that's just my assessment, not with Aerial Ace with this current moveset. Delibird gets aerial of charge attack Fly. Yo, what is this thing doing? I don't even know what that's for. You can't really even use it in Little Cup unless they have like a pre-evolution one. Yeah, I don't know. That might just been for fun. Delibird actually gets another buff as well that I'll just talk about right now. It also gets Triple Axle, which does not make it any more relevant. So Starly, Staravia, Staraptor all get the charge attack Fly. Starly, I don't think is really doing too much. Maybe in like a future Little Cup. I don't know, but that's like a weird one. Staravia, it's like at best like D. Staravia maybe like because it can hit like a certain CP. If you build a Hundo Best Buddy, it's 1486. It has Wing Attack, it has Aerial Ace, it has Brave Bird, it has Heat Wave. It's pretty bad though, but it might have some like weird XL play if you really want to get spicy with it. I don't think it's good. I don't think it's necessarily hot garbage. Like, I think you could... Like, I wouldn't be shocked if I lose to Staravia one day, randomly. Staraptor can learn the charge attack Fly. Now, this is kind of interesting because I know some people, like, love using Staraptor already, and mostly because it has, like, really hard-hitting moves with close combat, so it gives us some coverage against the steals. And then now you have Brave Bird, which is a really hard-hitting move, and now you have Fly, which is not going to debuff yourself. It's also not going to hit nearly as hard as Brave Bird, but... it might sound like you just need a lower engine move, right? So Staraptor is kind of interesting. I don't think it'll be meta relevant, but I think it could be better than the Avalugg. Definitely better than Staravia too in certain metas, especially in Ultra League. I think it'd be good. Rufflet and his family Braviary and Hisuian Braviary all get the charge attack Fly. So, yeah, Rufflet again. That one's kind of interesting because you can make it XL Rufflet. Honestly, I'll put it right here. I've seen it go to work, and I know I'm hosting a draft tournament for my patrons, and someone actually did draft a Rufflet, and it's going to cost them 360k dust. But hey, you know what? You might be able to make it work, so who knows? And Rufflet's movesets, you have Wing Attack, which is nice, right? Helps with that energy generation, so Fly will just help with that respect. And you got Braviary, which also has... let me just make sure I'm not saying anything wrong here. It has Air Slash and Steel Wing. Steel Wing is getting a buff as well. It has Brave Bird Close Combat. And then you got the Hisuian version that also has Air Slash, but it's a Psychic typing. Yeah, these two with Fly, like, I don't think they're particularly amazing overall, especially because Air Slash is not the best move. To be honest, Rufflet seems like it has more play. Crazy enough as it is. So, Braviary, non-Hisuian, I'll probably put it like right here. And then the Hisuian maybe here. Like, I don't know if the Psychic typing is really helping it too much. Psychic Flying is not like the best typing in my opinion. Alright, you got the Fletchinder family all learning Fly as well. You got Fletchling, which, again, I mean, could be okay in Little Cup. I'm not a Little Cup master by any means, so I'm just going to leave these here. And someone that's better at Little Cup can tell me. But it also depends on what's elbow in the Little Cup metas, because I feel like the Little Cup metas are very, like, restrictive, too. They're not typically open metas. Fletchinder, kind of a really spice pick. Seems like a very unnecessary pick in my opinion, too. Like, you could definitely run it in Great League, but it's just like, what is the point of it, right? I'll probably run it right here. It's like, it could do some work, and you could definitely beat some people with it, but if you really want to use a flying fire type, you're either using Charizard, or you're using Talonflame. And let me say, Talonflame is back, baby. It is back, and it is going straight to the S tier. Going to be definitely in contention of one of the best flying types in this current meta. It doesn't mean it beats all flyers, right? Obviously, Pelipper will beat it. Mandibuzz might have a lot of play into it, but it's pretty strong. Incinerate doing an extra 5 damage, and then also on top of that, you get Fly as well, right? One of the most energy efficient flying attacks that doesn't debuff you. That's pretty good. Yeah, it's pretty good. So I'm moving it straight up to S tier. I think it's a lot of play. Completely shuts down Alolan Sandslash as well, which is a huge nuisance for most flyers. You have play into Medicham. Medicham's Psychic got nerfed, so you're just throwing straight Ice Punch, which means that you're even better. You don't have to worry about a harder hitting Psychic. Because, I mean, even if they run Psychic, it doesn't hit as hard, and most will probably just drop it for Dynamic Punch or Power Punch. Yeah, Talonflame's going to be fantastic, I think. Has a lot of play into Registeel as well. Has some play into Galarian Stunfisk, if that ever comes back on top of it. So, it has a ton of play. It's really worried about Lantern. Maybe like the Bastion Carping from time to time, which you don't see super often, but you might see it. And then, you know, some of the water types, like Swampert and stuff. But, you know, most fires are not going to beat those anyway. Being able to comfortably throw Fly at fighters without feeling the need to bait so you don't need to debuff yourself is really nice. Yes, absolutely fantastic point. Now, on top of that, you drop the Fly. It probably doesn't one-shot most fighters, right? Especially like Medicham, it's so bulky. But with the Incinerate damage increase, you land a Fly, you might be able to Incinerate down. Especially if you factor in the Incinerate damage getting to the Fly. Yeah, Talonflame is going to be pretty nasty in this meta. But I think it's actually a really good Pokemon to be meta relevant. I could be eating my words in a few weeks, right? Or a month or so. But it's a 5-turn move. So it is easier to play around if you're using a shorter turn duration fast attack yourself, right? Like if you're using a Mudshot Swampert, even counter Medicham, like it's not a winning matchup, but you could optimize around the Talonflame much better. So I don't think it's like super broken. I think like if it had like wing attack or something, like maybe that's a different story. But yeah, so I personally like the balance on that. Vikavolt, or maybe it's pronounced Vikavolt, will be able to learn the Charge Attack Fly as well. I don't really think this is super relevant, but maybe some Spice users can make it do something. I'll put it like up here. Yeah, I don't know. It's like it's not very great, and it's not great in Great League, and Vikavolt just seems really bad in Ultra League. It just doesn't really have the coverage needed for a lot of the Ultra League Pokemon. Of course, if we get like Ultra League Premier, maybe it has some play, but we haven't had Premier in like forever, so who knows when we'll have that back. The Slow family are all getting Scald. Slowbro, Galarian Slowbro, Slowking, Galarian Slowking. And so we know that, you know, all 4 of these Pokemon did get the Charge Attack Surf recently. So comparing Scald, the new Scald, to Surf. So Surf is 40 energy for 65 damage. Scald is 50 energy for 85 damage. So Scald is at 1.7 damage efficiency, and then damage to energy efficiency, Surf is 1.62. Scald, though, has potentially a 40% chance of debuffing your attack by opponent's attack by 1. That's just what I see on PvP. Right now it's 30%. Either way, it would be higher than 30%. So it's not only more damage efficient, it's also has a chance of debuffing your opponent's attack. So pretty good at the cost of an extra 10 damage. So the real question is it worth the extra 10 energy? Is it worth the extra 10 energy? Me personally, I think so. But you have the flexibility, right? And hopefully people built like extras of all of them so that you don't have to TM away Surf. Because who knows, maybe Surf might come in handy in certain situations over the Scald. But I think most people will probably be running Scalds. And are they relevant though is a better question. I don't really... Let's put Slowbro at the top of D tier. It's not super relevant. Slowking as well, right? They're both about like similar situations. The Galarian versions though are pretty interesting, especially in limited metas. So I'll put those maybe here. Because they definitely had a lot of play in the recent Psychic Cup, for sure. In certain limited metas, I think it'd be really good. I think at open metas, maybe not so much. But yeah, that's going to be my verdict. We could potentially move, let's move to the B tier. Like, there were clear winners in the Psychic Cup and in some limited metas. So, like, when they are even slightly relevant in metas, they usually, like, have a pretty strong spot in it. Whereas Alolan Raichu, like, even if it's relevant in meta, it's not, like, super dominant in the metas it's relevant in, too, right? Quillfish now can learn the Charge Attack Scalds. Nothing crazy with this one. Maybe if Hisuian Quillfish can learn it, but it's just the regular Quillfish. I don't know. Might have some niche play here or there. I'll put it here. I don't think it's like super relevant, even in limited metas, but yeah, I'm not saying it's like complete garbage. Suicune gets a Charge Attack Scalds. Kind of a spice pick. I mean, it has some decent bulk to it. Maybe it could be useful in Ultra League at times, but I don't think it's like super relevant. Let's just put it right here. Lotad learns Scalds. Lotad's, I don't know if you really need Scald or not. I mean, I guess for Little Cup, right? But most people are just running kind of D-Gen Razor Leaf with Lotad anyway, whenever I see it in Little Cup. So right now it learns Razor Leaf, Water Gun. It has Energy Ball, Bubble Beam. Yeah, Energy Ball and Bubble Beam. So, I mean, I think as the moveset it has right now is actually pretty solid in Little Cups. So, I'll just put it right there for Little Cup purposes specifically. But I don't think the Scald's super necessary. I think most people are just still going to run like the D-Gen Razor Leaf and Bubble Beam strategy. Water Gun's also not the fastest energy charging move, so you might just still run Bubble Beam with it. Lombre is not really useful for much. At the highest it could go is 1369. So it's not really great. And also, like, it's just a worse Ludicolo, right? Like, what's the point of Lombre? Sorry to say, but you're in the hot garbage tier, my friend. I'll put you above Delibird, because the two Pokemon that just don't hit any relevant CP. Ludicolo is also learning Charge Attack Scald. This is kind of an interesting Pokemon. Bubble is getting buffed as well. And now that you get Scalds, get some pretty reliable water damage instead of needing to go for Hydro Pump. You have Ice Beam, you have Leaf Storm. I looked at some sims. I don't think it's like super relevant as a water nor grass type. It's kind of like a weird middle ground, right? You're still taking neutral from electric. You're still taking neutral from grass. But you have some interesting coverage. I just don't think it's like particularly amazing enough to really be relevant. So I'll put it right here. I think it could be used, and I think some people might try to use it in competitive championship series tournaments, but it'll be hard to use. I don't think it's impossible for someone to make like day 2 or top cut with it. Maybe even a grand finals with it. But I think you're playing hard mode, right? I mean, we just had a Seaking make grand finals, so like really anything's possible at this point. But it's just there's just better options. Like I think you're just playing a harder situation. Whalmer and Wailord both learn Scalds. Look, this is some spice for sure. I'm gonna put them like right here. Like if you love the spice, go for it. But I don't think they're really super relevant. Sorry, PvP Steve. He ran a Shadow Whalmer, and I did trade a lot of my Whalmer away to potentially build a Shadow, but I'm not actually doing it. Barboach gets Scalds, which I don't know if he really needs Scalds, especially in Little Cup. I think the damage is kind of overkill. You already have Aqua Tail, I believe. But, I mean, Barboach is a pretty solid Pokemon in Little Cups, so I think that's fine. For that purpose, I think Barboach for Little Cups, like, I'll put it right here, right, with the Lotad. But that's really what you're using for. You're not really using Barboach for anything else. Wishcatch gets Scald is super interesting. So, Wishcatch has Mud Bomb, which makes it a lot more reliable into Lantern than Swampert is, because Swampert you had to go all the way to Hydro Cannon, right? And it's kind of like why Quagsire was kind of relevant a little bit, but Quagsire was just like kind of didn't really take off as much, especially in a Gligar meta this season. Obviously, you have Aqua Tail, but Aqua Tail is not the best move. And just like at that point, if you're running Aqua Tail Mud Bomb, just like run Swampert. Scald, though, with a damage increase and an increased attack debuff chance, and just like Whiscash is super bulky in itself, I think it could be really, really solid. I wouldn't put it in S tier, but I think it could definitely be a strong A tier pick. I'll put it right here. Because it has some contention with Swampert, so I wouldn't put it necessarily above Alolan Sandslash. Alolan Sandslash is pretty unique in its role. Swampert is probably going to still be better in the head-to-head matchup, especially because you get to Hydro Cannon faster and you get to Scald. But if you start shielding the first move, debuffing them, and then you're tanking the next few Hydro Cannons, no problem, whereas the Scalds are really adding up against the Swampert, man, you might be winning the mirror matchup too, right? That's the biggest downside of Quagsire, is just there's no way for it to win the mirror matchup for Swampert, whereas Whiscash, if you get really lucky or in certain shielding situations, like, you might be able to pull that off. I don't know. I think Whiscash could definitely be pretty strong, and just the bulk on it is like, makes it pretty nice. We got Corphish and Crawdons, the lobsters. All these like crustacean things, just they try to make it better, but they're just still so irrelevant. Yeah, I'm gonna put this at like hot garbage. And nothing could really beat these guys that just don't hit like that CP limit. Crawdon could be interesting, but it's just like it's got Crab Hammer, it's got Scald, it's got Snarl, it's got so many like solid charge attacks and fast attacks, but it just like does not have the stat product to really do anything. Vigoroth will now be able to learn charge attack Rock Slide. This is actually really neat. And I think I saw a sim from, I think it was Waller on Twitter earlier today, against a Sableye. You used to have to go Bulldoze, and Bulldoze was just such a bad move. Now you go straight Rock Slide. So you can really start winning some of these matchups that you weren't really consistent winning before. You had to throw so much energy ads. And Rock Slide also fantastic in a potentially Talonflame meta. Pretty good, right? So Talonflame needs to shield that. Like, honestly, I think it's a really strong update for Vigoroth. Is it going to be the best counter user / pseudo fighter compared to the other fighters? I don't think so, but I do think it's actually pretty solid. I'll put it around here. Honestly, if I could overlap them, I'd probably be tied around the same spot. Vigoroth, I think, is going to be really strong. Toxicroak will now be able to learn to charge attack Shadow Ball. So this is going to be pretty interesting for sure. The thing I don't like about this is you had to give up Mud Bomb or Sludge Bomb. Most will probably opt to give up Mud Bomb, or Sludge Bomb, I should say. Mud Bomb is great coverage for the Steel types, and then, of course, you know, Lantern as well. And just like a lower energy charge attack. But Sludge Bomb is kind of necessary. I mean, you got Wigglytuff making an appearance, right? What are you going to throw? You're not going to throw a Shadow Ball at it, right? So having Sludge Bomb for the Wigglytuff to grab a shield at least would be pretty nice. Mud Bomb just not going to do anything, right? And especially if you're playing in a official tournament, they have open team sheets. They don't see a Sludge Bomb on your team. They're not shielding anything on that Wigglytuff, right? On top of that, I think Azumarill is going to be making a strong comeback this season. So you really need a Sludge Bomb for that Azumarill matchup to have a chance there. So it's going to be weird. Now, obviously, giving a Shadow Ball is nice because it gives you the option. You don't have to run Shadow Ball, but having the option Shadow Ball is nice, especially because you are able to hit back against Medicham. You can potentially beat it, too. It's not like the cleanest win for Toxicroak, but there are win cons, right? And you have win cons against Deoxys Defense now, which also before, one Psycho Boost just obliterates you, right? So being able to hit back against the Deoxys Defense could be nice in certain situations. So yeah, my main gripe with Toxicroak is that it's just not very bulky. Like, you know, if you ever got hit by a Last Resort from Umbreon Great League on Toxicroak, you're like, whoa, I'm about to have to shield the next potential foul play, right? Because they're baiting, obviously, the foul play when you're in Last Resort range. So it's a little funky. So I'll put it behind Vigoroth, actually. I do think it's actually really good, but I feel like Vigoroth's, like, buff was, like, a very clear buff, whereas this one, like it still makes Toxicroak kind of funky to play. Much Shot Shadow Ball. Yeah, that definitely could be gnarly. I mean, at that point, like, is it even a fighter? That would be gnarly for sure. Yeah, I do like it though. I do like the Shadow Ball potential, but yeah, I don't think it's like a huge win, a definitive win for Toxicroak, or definitive I need to run Shadow Ball now. We got Articuno will be learning the charge attack Triple Axle. Just not really relevant, I think. It already has Icy Wind. Like, you don't really need Ice Shard, increased Ice Shard damage. Yeah, it's just, like, not the best. I mean, it could have some play in Ultra League. I mean, if we're thinking about Ultra League picks, like, I think I'll put it here. I don't know. I feel like it's so hard to run Articuno in Ultra League these days. There's just so many things that could beat it, right? Let's put it here for now. I mean, maybe like some open leagues you could use Articuno if they have limited formats in Ultra League, maybe. But yeah, it's hard to use. It's definitely hard to use. And Frostlass gets triple Axle. I still think Frostlass is really strong, but I don't know if most people run triple Axle. I think most will sell off for the Avalanche Shadow Ball. But just Frostlass as a whole, I think is still pretty meta relevant. I'll put it right here. I think it's still pretty good. This is another thing too. Frostlass used to wall off Vigoroth. Vigoroth with Rock Slide. Man, you're not scared of Frostlass no more, right? Like, you have something to hit back against Frostlass. I think Frostlass probably still wins that matchup quite handily, but like in situ, like you used to never have the shield, right? But the Rock Slides are definitely come out a lot quicker than the Bulldoze will. Triple Axle 45 energy. Triple Axle is so it's the same exact thing as Icy Wind. And just it's essentially Icy Wind, except buffing yourself by attack stage rather than debuffing your opponent's attack. But it's also the same exact energy as Avalanche. So yeah, I don't know. Cryogonal, I don't know how to pronounce this thing. This thing's I don't think it's useful for much. Pure ice type. I don't know. Let's put it right there. It's I mean, I would, again, I might lose it one day, so I don't want to say it's completely out of the picture, but like it's just not the best. I missed Greedent actually earlier, but Greedent also gets Trailblaze. And that is interesting because with Mudshot, it now loses to like a lot of water types, especially like Swampert and Mudboys. So this gives us some coverage and something opponents have to watch out for now when you throw. But without Crunch, you just lose really hard to Steel types. And then without Body Slam, it's just like, what are you doing, right? That's like one of the best moves for Greedent. So it's kind of like a interesting like addition to the toolkit. However, Greedent is just a huge menace, especially in Ultra League. I actually think it's really, really strong in Ultra League. In fact, I'm actually going to put it here. Greedent is just really nice. I think it's kind of scary strong in Ultra League. It's like definitely a sleeper pick for Ultra League. But in Great League, it could be a nuisance too. I think it was definitely better before Wookiee was introduced because it had like some potential to be like a counter to Lickitung and do some neutral damage. But like right now, like there's no reason to just run like you just run Wigglytuff at that point, right? Yeah, but I think Greedent is actually super unrated. Politoed also got, did it get Trailblaze? No, it got Scald. Yeah, Trailblaze from the wild. Yeah, it got Scald, which is okay, I guess, right? It had Surf already. Scald's more energy efficient. It used to have Weather Ball, but Weather Ball just got nerfed. And then, so Surf became more energy efficient. A lot of people ran Surf on Politoed instead. And then now it's got Scald, it's more energy efficient. So I think Politoed's an interesting one for sure. I don't think it's like super meta relevant, but I think it could be an interesting pick. I'll put it right here. I think it has more play than Lil Raichu. I think it has potential play in open leagues, just like Ludicolo. Just nothing super, super relevant, but I think it could still be good. So let's talk about the Pokemon that aren't necessarily named in this recent moveset update, but there were changes to them that did certain things. So let's talk about Bubble, because I think Bubble is really cool. So Bubble, Azumarill, I think Azumarill is going to be really, really strong in this upcoming season. It has a strong matchup against the Gligar, which is still a prominent flyer in my opinion. Talonflame, Medicham. If you're running Dynamic Punch Medicham with Ice Punch, you're completely walled off by the Azumarill. Artibax, completely walled off. I'm putting Azumarill at A tier. I would put it at S if it would have had a glaring weakness to Lantern and Grass type still, but it's still super, super strong. It might be S tier right now, yeah. It's not even just a Bubble buff, but just more so where the meta's going. The Bubble buff definitely helps it. That rebuff to the Azumarill is really nice. Another Pokemon, obviously there's a lot of Pokemon that learn Bubble. I'm going to just talk about a lot of the meta relevant ones. Jellicent got a slight buff with the Bubble as well. Jellicent is, it's still like kind of tough to play in a Lantern meta, right? There's Grass, still like, you know, some Ghost types here or there. But ghost types and dark types might be a little bit on the decline with the rise of Wigglytuff. So maybe Jellicent has some play. I don't know. Jellicent is still a pretty cool Pokemon in my opinion, and fantastic in Ultra League. So me personally, I'll probably put Jellicent right here. I think it's still really solid. Now, not as much play as Frostus in a Great League, but fantastic in Ultra League. And honestly, you might just run Hex anyway, but it's nice to have that increased bubble damage option. We got Fire Spin getting up buff too, right? So I talked about that earlier. Fire Spin's doing 1 extra damage. And there aren't a ton of Fire Spin users that are super relevant. Alola Marowak, though, is definitely one of them. You got a lot of things that are like picking up in usage. Alola Marowak is going to wall off that Wigglytuff, but it's like a weird matchup, especially with Bone Club. And, you know, you got Vigoroth with Rock Slide now. You got Azumarill picking back up. I don't know. It's like weird. I think it's still a really strong Pokemon. Let's put it at the top of B for now. Maybe it's an A tier pick. But you got like Scald on a bunch of things. Alola Marowak, it might be a little bit hard to use still. The Incinerate is nice. And if a potential Registeel increase picks up, then it still could be pretty solid. Honestly, Solgaleo looks pretty strong already, right? And it not only has Psychic Fangs that debuffs your defense, but you got Fire Spin that's doing more damage on top of it. Solgaleo looks pretty strong. Yeah, I don't know if it's like S tier in Master League, but it is pretty strong still. There are definitely checks to it. But in my opinion, like for the role it serves, I think it's actually really solid. Solgaleo, I'll put it right here. Yeah, for Master League purposes, I think it's really strong. Maybe it's even better than that. I don't know. I don't have one built, but I faced them before, and I think it'd be good. One thing about Solgaleo you do have to watch out for is the Incinerate buff. I'll talk more about why for that. It's Heatran is the Fire Spin user. I mean, it's got interesting move combinations right now. I don't think it's like super good, but I think it could be good in certain situations. I've definitely faced some, and in the wrong matchup, like if you're facing it with the wrong Pokemon, Heatran is kind of a monster still. So I'll put it at the top of B. I think it does have a lot of play, but just being double weak to ground, and heat, you know, Groudon's everywhere, and just weak to water. It's got a lot of weaknesses in Master League, so it's really more alignment focused, I think. We'll talk about Blaziken real quick, so since it technically does have Fire Spin, I think most will still be running counter. Blaze Kick did get 5 extra damage. I probably put it here for now. The Blaze Kick doesn't really like make Blaziken super strong, especially with all these water buffs too. It's just never been like the best Pokemon, but in limited metas it could be good. So, oh yes, Ninetales, thank you. Kanto Ninetales is a Fire Spin user that is definitely relevant. Extra Fire Spin damage could be really nice for it. It does have Scorching Sands too, so it has a little bit of play into Lantern as well. And just some neutral play into some of the things that use to wall it. I think it's interesting. You know, Emperor was usually the preferred moveset of choice because it was just easier to run a 2-turn fast attack. But with extra damage on the Fire Spin, it could be nice, right? Just even 1 extra damage, but you generate more energy on Fire Spin than Ember anyway. I'll put it here, top of B. I think it probably still has more play than Alola Marowak, but that's just me personally, because there's just so many like dark and ghost types still, right? And it's just like Alola Marowak's matchup against Wigglytuff is so weird that that alone just like makes me kind of hesitant about it. Incinerate, we'll start with Skeledirge for now, just for Great League purposes. That Incinerate damage is nice, obviously, for Talonflame, but it's pretty nice for Skeledirge as well. I mean, Skeledirge in certain matchups could be pretty solid. I'm gonna put it right here. It has really interesting typing. I just don't know if Medicham usage like starts dropping enough that it's not as needed in Great League. Obviously with water buffs too, like it might be a little bit hard to run it, but Skeledirge has really interesting typing and moveset combination with Shadow Ball, Disarming Voice, right? It's Disarming Voice, yeah, it's not Draining Kiss, and Incinerate, and obviously Incinerate doing more damage, fantastic. Medicham with a Psychic nerf, so even if they're running Psychic, they do less damage to Skeledirge. It's not a winning matchup for Medicham, but it was able to hit back before. If everyone's not even running Psychic anymore, then you're just doing resistance damage all the way throughout. You're just completely walled by Skeledirge, so not too bad. It's fun in Ultra too. Yeah, exactly. It has play in Ultra. So Ho-Oh. Now this is gonna be big, because obviously in Great League, Ultra League, nah, not really relevant. But in Master League, Ho-Oh's kind of a beast, and doing extra Incinerate damage is kind of nice. Ho, I'm putting in S tier. Obviously, this is Master League specific, but the matchup against like Zacian, for example, was super annoying because you just did not do enough damage to take it out, right? That's why the damage you need in certain situations and push it over the edge. Going to be better into Dialga as well. Like that extra damage on Incinerate is going to be huge for Ho. Obviously, you didn't get any move changes or anything, but just the Incinerate buff makes it super strong. Steel Wing buff. This is going to be just an energy generation increase. Like I said, it might just be 1 or 2 at most. I don't think it's super relevant, just because that Sky Attack nerf still hurts it quite a bit. So, I don't know where I put this. Maybe here? I don't think Sealing Skarmory is going to be that strong. It does wall off Gligar, but you got like a Talonflame buff. Like, it's going to be hard to run Skarmory still. And plus, like, with Steel Wing, I don't even know if you beat Medicham. Medicham might be able to muscle through it, just shields up, right? So, that's one thing to watch out for. Mud Slap is doing energy generation. Again, we don't know how much energy it is, but best case scenario is like 2. Gastrodon, still pretty irrelevant in my opinion. Like, it's just not good. Maybe we could put it in, like, a D category, because it might be, like, it's technically better than some of these, but it's just not, like, super relevant. Especially because we got, like, Whiscash getting Scald. Like, there's way better Mud Boys. And just Mud Slap's still just really slow. Golurk as well. Like, it has use in some limited metas. But it's not the best either. I think maybe it has more play than the Slowbro and Slowking, though. But nothing crazy. The other Mud Slap user, this is unfortunate for Rhyperior. Everyone's kind of celebrating, right? I think Marcho Galde actually made his Shadow Hundo Rhyperior the other day, but Mud Slap is getting a buff. However, Breaking Swipe is getting a nerf, so it's not nearly as relevant. I think it could be interesting in some Premier formats, maybe an Open Ultra. I don't know though. I'll put it right here, I guess. But yeah, Breaking Swipe nerf definitely hurts Rhyperior quite a bit. Mud Slap buff means Claydol got another buff. And honestly, I want to put Claydol on this hot garbage territory, but it actually was pretty good in a Psychic Hub. At least for me personally, I actually used it a decent amount. It's just not really good anywhere else, right? I'll put it in between them. How about that? It's not like particularly much better than them, but it's not particularly much worse. It has like, dude, this guy is Claydol's got the Swiss Army knife, and it's like the dollar store Swiss Army knife. Like, it's not officially made like by the big name brands. It's just like it has a lot of tools. The tools just aren't very good. Okay, so Breaking Swipe nerf. So we talked about for Rhyperior, but it does hurt Steelix quite a bit, in my opinion. We don't know what the percentage is decreased on. It could be like 2/3, could be half, could be even less than that. That would be really bad. But it's not guaranteed anymore. So I think Steelix is actually still a really strong pick, especially in Master League, right? Like, I was using Steelix in Master League, or not Master League, sorry, Ultra League before it got nerfed, but it's just not as strong. So I think Steelix is still going to be an A-tier Pokemon. And if you want to play the odds, I think it could be still really good. It's just not as good without that guaranteed debuff anymore. We got Heliolisk. Short-lived. But unfortunately, the nerf hit it kind of hard. So yeah, Heliolisk, I'll just put it right there. It had some interesting play into like Lickitung. I faced it actually in back-to-back local tournaments, but its normal typing threw me off, resisting the lick damage and shadow call damage from like a lone sand slash. But yeah, that Breaking Stride nerf definitely doesn't really help heal this too much. Scald buff for Tentacruel is actually pretty neat. I don't know if we're going to see a lot of Tentacruel in Open Great League, although Medicham not running Psychic, it opens the door for Tentacruel. The problem is it's just like really walled off by the Lantern unless you're running Sludge Wave. But even then, it just takes way too long to get to. Has play into Talonflame though. Fantastic into Wigglytuff, right? Like, it's like kind of like a less bulky Toxapex at Great League, but just has better moves. I don't know. I really think like it could be interesting. It really could be. I'll put it like right here. I think it's actually really solid and great Ultra League. And maybe I'll put it behind Toxicroak. Actually, let's put it here. Let's put it here. It is an interesting pick. It definitely has play in Ultra League for sure. But I think the Scald damage on Tentacruel we might be sleeping on. I wouldn't be surprised if Tentacruel builds in relevance. I also wouldn't be surprised if like it's still just as irrelevant as it will be. Medicham obviously got hit with the Psychic nerf. It's still really good. But the problem with Medicham right now is that So you got Wigglytuff, right? Which is kind of annoying for it. Talonflame, like, you can't really throw Psychic at it. I don't think most people are going to run Psychic. So you're going to run Dynamic Punch, Ice Punch, which means you're walled by Azumarill. Personally speaking, I don't love this Psychic nerf. I thought the previous nerf was enough. But if you nerf it enough, like, you make it so that Psychic is pretty much unusable on Medicham, which means that you're forcing it to run a Fighting move and an Ice move with the charge attacks. Which means that you play way harder into RPS, right? Because now you're walled off by Azumarill, right? You're way worse into some of the flyers, right? Like Pelipper, Talonflame, Charizard, right? So, like, you're in way worse matchups. Psychic wasn't, like, the best move this season, but it was, like, kind of give it neutral play, right? So now you're just, like, hard winning some matchups, like, against the Steel types, against, like, Umbreon stuff, but then just hard losing to Azumarill. I still think it's fantastic, though, and I think it still could potentially be S. It's like I'm somewhere on the borderline. Because I think Medicham is still going to be really strong in a lot of neutral matchups. Serperior's, super strong still. Fantastic into Lantern, right? Like, especially because Dynamic Punch is a way more energy efficient move, and it's cheaper too. I'm still going to put Medicham in S tier. I still think it's actually really good. It's just a little bit more RPS than before. Jellicent, another one, right? If you face a Jellicent, you're completely walled off. I mean, it wasn't a great matchup already, but you're completely walled off. Tentacruel, Toxapex, again, both complete walling off Medicham. Like, that's why I think, like, this change, it makes this meta a lot more RPS, which, we'll find out in a couple weeks or maybe even a couple days if that's a good thing or bad thing. And then the final change that we have here is Iron Tail, which Bastion learns, which I'm really not, Bastion's not really on the list for the Iron Tail, because, like, whatever. I don't think the Iron Tail Bastion is going to be a thing. I don't know, unless Iron Tail is actually busted and generates a lot more energy than I expected to. One extra damage on the Iron Tail is not really relevant. Last season, Bastion, or this current season, I should say, but the most recent season, it really dropped off in relevance. Alolan Sandslash all over the place. Really not great for Bastion. Registeel, obviously, still has some play here or there. You got, like, Scorching Sands on Diggersby. You got Mudboy's still running around. Lantern's still great. A lot, and you've got Gligar, which was, like, the biggest thing. Because Bastion was really meant for the Flyers, right? In some neutral matchups here, that was really meant for the Flyers. And just really couldn't contend with those things. But now, we got a buff. Alright, let's think about these S tier picks. We got Wigglytuff and Talonflame. Obviously, Ho, you're not going to see. Medicham obviously beats it. But these two, hard beats. You got Arctibax. Hard beats. You got Azumarill. Even with the bubble buff, if you're running Play Rough Ice Beam, I'm pretty sure Bastion wins that matchup too. So, Alolan Sandslash, not a great matchup, but if you have Talonflame, like, a lot of people aren't even going to bring Alolan Sandslash as much anymore. You're not going to beat the Mudboys, but you weren't going to before. Vigoroth. If you're not running Bulldoze on Vigoroth, that matchup is actually probably not that bad for Bastion. If you see a drop in usage from Medicham and people running Deoxys Defense, yeah, you don't win that matchup with Bastion, but it's actually not too bad. If you're running Rock-Side Psycho Boost, then you actually could win it too. Toxstroke, obviously, you lose to, right? Poliwrath. You might actually lose to Skull Tentacruel. That's a weird one. And a slight drop in usage for Steelix could be pretty good for Bastion too. Honestly, Bastion in the right matchups is still annoying as heck to deal with. And I'm telling you, it ain't no S tier pick, but I think it's pretty good. And hot take, but I'm putting it right here. This has the flexibility of some of these other picks, but it beats these picks hard. When you beat these four, plus, like, Frostlass, Vigoroth with Rock Slide, like, that's pretty good, right? And then these picks, like, also, against a Serperior, I don't think you win against Serperior, but Serperior doesn't hit nearly as hard against Bastion as Venusaur did. I actually haven't really looked at this matchup too much, because, yeah, let's just assume they're going straight friends. But if they're baiting with Aerial Ace, might be a different story. But we'll check rank 1 versus rank 1. Yeah, Serperior goes, they tie in the zeros, which is kind of interesting. They both just fast attack each other down. It loses in the 1s, and it wins in the 2s. So you're able to beat Serperior too, which is pretty nice, in the 1s and potentially 0s in some situations. I don't know. Bastion is back. Especially with Carbink in this meta, right? Carbink kind of picking up the usage. You know what beats Carbink? Basty. But yeah, that's going to be the last of the Pokemon I'm going to cover that had like direct buffs and nerfs from the meta. Now I'm going to talk about some things in terms of like popular meta picks. You can see there's really popular meta picks and how they end up like falling within the meta, right? Superior, obviously the grass champion this season, right? Fantastic. I think it's still really, really strong. Obviously, it gets pretty walled off by the Talonflame. But, I mean, it was pretty walled off by Manabuzz, too, and it still had a lot of play. And I don't think Gligar is necessarily, like, going extinct. I just think that we'll see less of it. Also, increased usage in Azumarill, right? And Lantern's not really going anywhere. You kind of have some neutral play into Wigglytuff as well. I think Serperior is still actually really, really strong. I think Serperior is still an S-tier pick. It's a really strong Pokemon. It has a lot of flexibility. It doesn't have like impeccable coverage, but like, I mean, you know, neither does Wigglytuff or Talonflame, right? I think it's still a really, really strong Pokemon. So I'm gonna put it right here. Gligar, again, I think it's really, really solid. I'm gonna put it in like an A-tier pick though. The main reason is you got Talonflame, which pretty much can beat it head to head. You got Wigglytuff with Icy Wind. The thing is, Wigglytuff doesn't have to shield every move from Gligar. Gligar has to shield every Icy Wind from Wigglytuff. You got Arctibax with Icy Wind too, right? So that matchup is like shields up, like that matchup super annoying for Gligar. You got Zero picking up a usage, bubble damage doing more. You got, you know, Frost's still good. You got Whiscash with Scald, and that damage is hard, like a lot of damage, right? From a bulky groundwater. So yeah, I think and even Toxicroak, right? Like, yeah, that used to be a walled off matchup. With Shadow Ball, you still get hit by it, right? You still should win that matchup, but you still get hit by it. So that being said, I think Gligar's still really strong and safe, but it's not as safe in my opinion in this meta. Obviously there's no changes to it, but it's more so these changes impact its placement. Let's talk about the other Mudboy, the one that's been around forever. I think overall more people are still going to default to Swampert. It's just faster pacing than Whiscash, but there is a lot of merit to running the Whiscash, especially with the faster Mud Bomb and ground moves against Lantern. And also, again, in that head-to-head matchup, if you get debuff on that first Scald, it might not be so clean for the Swampert, but I think Swampert's still really, really relevant, and honestly, I might put it here. I think it's going to be still a little bit better. Lantern, super strong still. It loves that Ho-Oh buff, right? Now if Ho-Oh stuff, not Ho-Oh, sorry, the Talonflame, if Talonflame is the flyer of choice, Lantern is like going to be enjoying it even more. Azumarill getting a buff, Lantern's gonna love that. It's gonna struggle a little bit more against that Dynamic Punch Metacham, but it's still pretty solid. Wigglytuff, I mean, yeah, like Wigglytuff's strong, but like if you're throwing Icy Wind, it's all resisted, right? So I think Lantern is still really, really strong. Overall, I'd say Lantern's just good. Like there's no way around it, right? Lantern's just fantastic. Yeah, you're gonna struggle against like Whiscash, but like I don't think everyone's bringing Whiscash. Lantern's just so strong. Like the buffs from this season are only helping Lantern. Yeah, Arctibax, yeah, you get walled off and stuff, but like that was never going to be a matchup. Like there's things that wall off Lantern, like Serperior, Arctibax, Dragonair, but in the neutrals and even in the slightly not neutrals, it's pretty good. We got Lickitung, which this is a little tragic for Lickitung because Wigglytuff ended up being a core breaker for Lickitung Medi. I think it's still really strong, especially with the uptick in Azumarill. You have that Power Whip, which is nice. Pretty neutral in so many situations. Kind of neutral against Talonflame. You have some checks into the Lantern and Serperior. I still think it's an S-tier Pokemon. It's just dropping a little bit in the S-tier in my opinion because of the Wigglytuff, but I still think it's super strong. You got Umbreon too, which Umbreon actually, in my opinion, is definitely dropping in relevance. So I'm going to put Umbreon right about here. Fantastic Pokemon, but you got a buff to Azumarill. You got a buff to Wigglytuff. Talonflame's kind of like a weird matchup. They keep ramping up damage. Dynamic Punch Metacham. Dynamic Punch on every Metacham makes that matchup brutal for Umbreon, right? Before, like, you could kind of chip away at it, right? If you have a little bit more health or a few more shields, you could do something. Dude, those Dynamic Punches hurt. And if every Metacham is running fighting movesets, that is not going to be a fun time. Obviously, fantastic still into Lickitung. Still kind of neutral into Serperior and stuff like that. But, yeah, that's... the Umbreon, I think, is definitely going to take a hit because of the Wigglytuff, because of the Azumarill. And I think that's why Lickitung for the Azumarill alone will be a little bit better. Deoxys Defense, right? So with Metacham's nerf to the Psychic, Deoxys Defense actually might pick up a lot in usage. It might be better than Metacham right now. I don't know. You have more play into Azumarill. You win the head-to-head, of course. And with a drop in Umbreon usage, not terrible. You could tank the fly damage, right? Whereas Metacham really can't from Talonflame. You can throw the Thunderbolts. You take neutral into Wigglytuff. It's not terrible. I actually think it's good. Sableye. So why I think Deoxys Defense is really relevant is because I think Sableye is definitely like just not as strong as it used to be. I think it's still really strong. I just don't think it's as strong. Especially in open formats. I'll put it right here. Frostless I think is really good coverage and it's pretty safe as a safe swap as well. You got to increase usage in Azumarill. You got Wigglytuff that got super buffed, right? You got weird neutral matchup against Talonflame is not fantastic for it. Lickitun's still S tier. Umbreon's still around, it's just not as around. You know, Arctibax can start icy winding you, right? And you, like when shields are up. Like I think like Sableye is just it's a good Pokemon. It just doesn't pack the punch it needs, but it also doesn't have the bulk it needs to contend. You know, fantastic typing, but just I think it's like it's actually struggled currently a little bit in this current meta. Like you don't see as much in this top cuts or these winning teams, right? And it's funny because you're in a Metacham meta, you think Sableye would be super relevant because it's one of his hardest counters, but people just rely on these neutral matchups or like slightly soft checks to Metacham instead of Sableye because Sableye is such a liability with Lickitung everywhere, with Umbreon everywhere, and now we have Azumarill and Wigglytuff everywhere. I feel like Sableye is going to be really hard to use. We got Registeel, which kind of fell off a little bit towards the end of this season, really, because a lot of teams are not even running Registeel, especially in the tournament formats. Obviously, fantastic in Ultra League still. You need something that's going to be a hard loss to Wigglytuff. That's your answer. Talonflame, terrible for a lone Sandslash. Registeel, not great into Talonflame, but you have Zap Cannon, you can force him to shield. Diamond Punch Metacham is going to be really bad for Registeel, but with Deoxys Defense rising a little bit, and especially if they're not running Thunderbolt, you have a lot more play into it too. You know, been kind of neutral into Lantern, and then pretty good into Superior. Not as good as Lone Sandslash, is pretty good. Lickitung still S tier, right? So I think being pretty good there is nice. And then Azumarill picking up in usage. And Arctibax. Walling off Arctibax, walling off the moveset Azumarill if they're not running Hydro Pump, but even if they are running Hydro Pump, you still win that typically. Gligar dropping a little bit in usage. I think Registeel makes it back to S tier. Let's move this up real quick and we compare against the top meta. Hard beats Registeel. You can beat Lickitung in certain shielding situations. You can beat Superior if you're running Sludge Bomb. Like, you just beat that. Metacham without Psychic. Of course, you're not even worried anymore, right? It's just Ice Punch. Yeah, it's super effective, but it doesn't have the hard-hitting Psychic. You're not as worried anymore. Deoxys Defense, this is a weird one because if they're baiting Thunderbolt and you don't shield, that's just a wasted energy. They're just throwing resistant counter on top of it. If they were Psycho Boost, they're debuffed, and then now you could shield and just win Switch, or they had to swap out and give up Switch. Ignore Ho, because that's Master League. Oh, though Stone Edge will probably come close to doing a lot of damage to Ho, too. If you run Stone Edge, you one-shot Talonflame. Without Stone Edge, you can still do decent to Talonflame. You're taking a neutral on both ends, right? Still do decent with a Sludge Bomb. But Stone Edge viability for extra flying coverage, right? Especially if this is a premier flyer. Pretty good. Wigglytuff. Sludge Bomb for the Wigglytuff. Wigglytuff a huge pain. But Clodsire, out of all the meta Pokemon, Clodsire is ranked #1 in terms of being able to check Wigglytuff out of the meta Pokemon. And then Lantern, you got the Earthquake, right? Obviously, if they're running Water Gun, it's a little bit annoying, but you have play into Lantern. So out of all the S tier picks, you win, you hard win, or you have play into. You don't really lose against any of them. Azumarill, you got Sludge Bomb, you're fine, right? You're doing plenty. Arctibax, Stone Edge, pretty good, but even without Stone Edge, you're doing neutral, right? With the Sludge Bomb Earthquake, it still does quite a bit of damage. If you've been in that matchup, it's actually not that fun for Arctibax. And obviously, you have Icy Wind, but, you know, without Avalanche, Icy Wind's not even going to do as much damage. Gligar, hard going to lose, right? Stone Edge makes it a little bit closer, but, you know, that's our first, like, hard loss. Bastion, you hard win. You lose to this one. You lose to this if they're running Powder Stone. Without Powder Stone, you actually win against the whole Sandslash, which is kind of wild. Similar to Lickitung, you have a lot of neutral play into this, and you have win conditions, which can actually lose against. Without Bulldoze, not too bad into Vigoroth either. You're just taking neutral Bison, but you're taking resisted counters, whereas you're doing neutral damage back. You lose the Frost Test for sure, even with Stone Edge. The Sableye is kind of a weird one. You have play for sure, but they are resisting your Poison Sting damage if you have Poison Sting variation. Clodsire actually, in my opinion, yo, it's strong into meta. Oh, I don't have Carbink on this list. Carbink hard wall too. Don't tell. How is Clodsire not going to be super meta in this current iteration of the meta? I think it's actually going to be really good. It's not going to be crazy broken. It just has play into so much stuff. I think it's kind of like what Carbink is in this current meta. It doesn't hard beat a lot of things, but it has so much play into stuff. Except in this situation, I think actually Clodsire actually has a lot more hard winning matchups in meta than Carbink even does. Clodsire might be the secret sauce. I'm putting it up here. Call me crazy, but look. You thought I was hyping up Clodsire too much this season? Clodsire looking too strong in this upcoming season. Thank God they didn't give it Poison Jab and Surf. So anyway, for Pokemon that have Astonish, dude, don't worry about it. I don't think Astonish is going to be relevant, so don't even stress about that. If you're watching this on YouTube, let me know in the comments down below if I'm out of my mind or you agree with it, or where you would put some of these picks. But yeah, that's how it is. Don't make no Delibird, and Clodsire's the truth. You heard it here.